Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny, and today I thought I would go through some fantasy recommendations written by women that have absolutely no romance in them. I know that February is the month of romance, so there are a ton of recommendations videos coming out regarding some cute romance stories or some spicy romance stories, and if you just need a little bit of a break, or if you're not someone who really enjoys romance and you want some recommendations that have nothing to do with it, you're in the right place. I might do a part 2 to this video where I talk through some fantasy books where the focus isn't the relationship, but there might still be a romantic subplot or just a couple within the story that brings out some romance every once in a while. But for today, all of them don't have any romance elements in them. They are strictly fantasy, and I was pleasantly surprised as I was going through my list of books that I wanted to talk to you guys that all of them are written by women. Let us start with the inspiration for this video, one of my more recent reads and a book that I think is vastly mismarketed, and that is Kill the Beast by Sarah Swift. This book is marketed as a romantasy, so you're probably thinking, why is it in this video where you're supposed to be telling us about fantasy books that have no romance in it? And that is because I believe this book to be a deep dive in the origin story of an amazing friendship. I do not think that this relationship that is formed throughout the pages of this book is supposed to be romantic. I also would argue that there is evidence to the fact in the really heated moments, the moments where we are seeing these characters really make connection. Our main character, Lysa, is talking about how great of a friend Alderic is. And so I really don't think that the intention of this story was to be a romance. Do I think that if by chance this happened to be a series, which it's not, it's standalone, it ends at the final pages of this book, but had the author wanted to make this a slow burn romance across multiple books, could it have worked that way? Sure, but within this book, this standalone book, they are friends, and that's it. So I'm gonna go to my grave thinking that Kill the Beast is not a romantasy, and I wanted it to be in this video so you guys would know that if you really just want to see a very sweet friendship form from people who hate each other to people who genuinely enjoy each other's company by the end of it, I think that this book is for you. If you haven't heard of Kill the Beast, you are following our main character, whose name is Lysa, whose brother was murdered when she was a kid. And her brother were both children when this happened. You get to learn about the things that actually happened to lead to his murder and his brutal death by the hands of one of the fairy-made beasts within the kingdom. You are living in a society that is very Witcher-esque. There are lots of monsters roaming about and causing mischief. And because of what happened to her brother, Lysa has made a lifetime commitment to have revenge on the fairies that made the beasts and also the beasts themselves. And she has a name for herself. Everyone knows her as the Butcher. She's had lots of stories written about her. She is actually thought of as almost a mythical creature because of the fact that she has been so successful in her endeavors. She has help, and you learn about some of the people that she has gained along the way that have helped her in this endeavor. And you get to learn about how kind of close off she is, the fact that she has definitely shut herself away because of what happened to her brother and what happened in her past. And her whole mission in life is to achieve revenge, and she has not been able to locate the beast that murdered her brother. Until now, because she runs into a very wealthy noble named Alderic, who is hunting for a beast. She doesn't know if it's the exact same beast, but he has pinpointed a couple of beasts that she has killed or fairy that she has killed that happen to be a very close relation to the one that she is hunting for, and so she's hoping that she has a break and that this person has information regarding the beast that she's after. However, there's a catch. With this mission, she can't actually go off on her own and kill the beast, which is what she typically does. Instead, she has to go on a mission with Alderic to collect these items in order to make a weapon that can kill the beast. And so they do have to spend a lot of time together. Alderic is very... I don't want to call him funny, but he's goofy. He is lighthearted. He definitely is curious about Lysa and just wants to know her history and is just a genuine nice person. And he also has just a very large amount of money and definitely flaunts it. in ways that are so sweet at times. I just really loved his character, and you want to hate him because of the fact that he does have a lot of privilege and he does throw it around to get his way at times. But I think you'll fall in love with his character and their quest to find these artifacts in order to create this magical weapon. I loved the story altogether. I think that their relationship, their friendship that grows throughout the conversations that you get to hear in Sarah is the author, but in Lysa's head, because this is just a single POV. You only are in Lysa's head. You don't ever get to be in Alderic's head. But I really enjoyed being able to hear her think through why she was having these kind of conflicting thoughts about him, because she doesn't want friends. She has one mission in life, and it's to kill the beast, and everyone else gets in the way. And so she starts having these moments where she starts thinking about him as a good person and about someone who might actually care about the world around them. And then she immediately will pull back into herself and be like, what? I don't need to be thinking about that. And then moving forward, I understand why, given what I've just told you, that people might believe this to be a fantasy romance, because it has a lot of the elements that you do see, a person thinking about their enjoyment of another person's presence, even though they were resistant to that at first. I still hold fast to my beliefs that this is just a really amazing friendship that is formed by the end of these pages. Maybe if you read it, you'll think differently than me, and I would love to hear your thoughts on why. But I just wanted to shout this one out because I think it's a great story. Also, the audiobook narrator is Moira Cork, which I've really enjoyed a lot of her audiobooks, and I think it's excellent. So if you enjoy audiobooks, this is definitely one that you should give a try. So we have talked about monster hunters. Let's talk about monsters with my next recommendation, and that is Greenteeth. Greenteeth focuses on Jenny Greenteeth, who is a lake monster of sorts that you get to learn about. You get to learn about the lore surrounding Jenny's. And Jenny starts this story by having the other character, I can't remember her name, it's been a minute since I've read this, but she is being drowned by her village because they believe her to be a witch. And Jenny actually helps her survive this circumstance, takes her into her lair, and allows her to live through this really horrific experience. And they set about, how much do I want to tell you guys? There's something going on in the village, something dark going on in the village, and they set out to figure out what it is and how to stop it. And so you get to see these two women work together to do that. I thought that this was just a lovely story. I do think that the main character, what is her name? I did look up the character's name. So Temperance is the witch that gets pulled into Jenny's lair. And I will say that I think Temperance could have been a little bit better in the end. I think that some of her arc I wasn't super happy with, but Jenny's character, the storyline that we're following as far as the deep, dark evil that is within the village, the folklore surrounding a lot of the creatures that we come across, it's all very rich, and I'm really excited to see another book by Molly O'Neill come out. There is another book called Nightshade and Oak, I think, is the book that comes out this year, and I'm really excited to get to it because I think it also deals with another like folklore-esque experience. I think it's a little bit more based on mythology, but I still am really excited for it. So if you're looking for an adventure story of sorts featuring two women trying to overcome a big bad evil, this might be one that you want to give a try. Next, we have a standalone that is going to be set in a series. I do think the author is going to piggyback off of the world that is created in this book, but you can read this story and walk away if you want to. Don't know why you would, because it is excellent, and that is The Dollmakers by Lynn Buchanan. This book features a main character whose name is Shion, and Shion is very unlikable, but unlike Temperance, who I really didn't enjoy her arc in Greenteeth, you have a really amazing arc for Shion within this story. Doesn't mean that you love every aspect of her by the end of this story, because she does have some irksome qualities, but I do think that she learns a lot throughout the way, and I think that it's very intentional. You have a character with Shion who has lived in this kingdom that is terrorized by monsters known as the Shad. The Shad live in the forests surrounding these villages within the kingdom, and they literally come out and kill entire villages at a time. So the people within this kingdom have learned to create warrior dolls. They're these massive creatures that are created by artisans, and they send them out to do various things that keep the Shad at bay. And Shion desperately wants to become one of these doll makers because she has some experience with some trauma surrounding the Shad when she was younger. And she has trained her entire life to become a war doll maker, and she is told that she cannot be a doll maker of that sort, that she is really meant to be more of an artisan, creative doll maker, that they don't actually create warrior dolls, and she refuses, and she goes on a quest to prove these people wrong. And I love the trouble that Shion gets into. I love the scary pieces as well of the descriptions of the Shad. They are kind of gross creatures and they're horrifying. I also, the kingdom that this is in, at one point, Shion, I can't remember where she is. She's like at the crossroads as she's traveling, and she runs into several other people who are from other places, other kingdoms that are surrounding this nation, and you get to learn a lot about the land. And I really liked it. And that's why I think the author is probably going to grow and look at the various kingdoms. There is also a character in here that I believe is going to be a through line throughout the entire series. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I am really curious to find out more about that individual's background, because every kingdom has their quirks and their magics that you get to learn about. Not only are the Shad absolutely horrifying, the Dollmakers' magic is really interesting, and the kingdom politics surrounding the cities that have been protected and have their own Dollmakers to keep them protected is really interesting. So I desperately want more people to read this. So if you are looking for a fantasy that doesn't have any romance in it, that you get to learn about an excellent world, I definitely think that you should pick this one up. The next book I'm going to talk to you guys about is one that I don't own, but one that I really, really want to. I want to own this entire series. It's the Athena Club series, starting with The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. And this is by Theodora Goss. Oh my goodness, if you have not heard of this series and you like fantasy mysteries, look no further. I freaking love this book. I love the entire series. I think the first one is probably my favorite. You are following a group of women in this, and it is really the entire series. You are following them work together to solve these different mysteries and keep each other safe. It's a found family story as well. It also has a little bit of breaking of the fourth wall, because these stories, they are writing themselves, and you get to hear them have conversations of these pieces of the story that they put in as they're solving these mysteries, and disagreeing with who found what evidence, or which pieces are most important to the story, which side characters should have been put in. It's a hoot, and also just lovely. And I kind of buried the lead, but all of the women within this are famous literature characters. So they are people who have been in stories where they just didn't have their own book. Our main characters are Mary Jekyll and Catherine Moreau, Justine Frankenstein. You have these women who have been placed in literature throughout the generations, that have those books have lived in infamy, but these women have never gotten their own stories. I mean, I'm sure that they have, but never all together and in one where they are trying to fight for their survival, for their protection, and for their protection of their communities as these things happen, these mysteries happen, that they have to figure out what's going on. You do also have some appearances by other famous literary characters. Sherlock Holmes and Watson definitely make an appearance. And I think the biggest push for me with this particular story is how these women love on each other. The fact that they have such a, and you also get to see them meet each other, some of them meet each other, and how their relationship grows and how they come to rely on one another to have this place of their own in the world and to take up space. I freaking love it. I need to reread the series after I purchase them because I don't have them on my shelves yet, but I desperately want to because they are amazing. So if any of that sounds interesting, please, please, please check this series out. I absolutely loved it when I read it, and it is one that's towards the top of my list for my rereads. The last book that I have on my recommendations list is one of my favorites, and it is one that I have read a companion series recently. Absolutely loved it, but I'm gonna give the first book a shout out, and that is The Goblin Emperor by Katherine Addison. If you haven't heard of The Goblin Emperor and you like political fantasy that is slow paced, oh my gosh, you have to read this book. This has a main character whose name is Maya, and Maya is a half goblin. And Maya was never intended for the throne. His father had, I think, 4 sons. Maya was the last. He was a half brother to the others, and he was not taught to be part of the political hierarchy. He was definitely raised away from the throne, but his father and all of his brothers died suddenly, and he is thrust into the responsibility of this kingdom that he has, and figuring out how to make peoples work together who don't necessarily want to. You have goblins and you have elves, and he also has the mystery surrounding his father and brother's death and whether or not it was a murder, and if he has to be careful about what he's doing because he doesn't want to be assassinated, and also him being thrust onto the throne and not having any background for it or any training. There is a really lovely undertone throughout this entire story of Maya really struggling with being in power, but being lonely and wanting a friend and not knowing who to trust, not knowing how much he can put on the people around him because he doesn't know if it's real because he has so much power. He doesn't know if people are being truthful with him, and he just wants a friend. I think that this is lovely. This one is absolutely on top of my reread list. I actually have it on Libby right now. I plan on reading it next week. So if you guys would like to join me and would like to read The Goblin Emperor, please do, and let me know what you think of it, because if you enjoy Katherine Addison's writing within The Goblin Emperor, you should also read the Cemeteries of Amalur series, starting with The Witness for the Dead. It is up here. You can probably can't see it because it's behind my cat, but I just absolutely love the world that Katherine Addison has created here. I love the goblins and the elves living amongst one another and the politics that are different within each of the communities, and how Maya has to traverse all of that. It's just lovely. So I hope that you enjoy it if you decide to pick it up. So those are my 5 recommendations that I have for you guys of women writing fantasy with no romance. I hope that you found one of these interesting and that you'll give it a chance in February if you need a little break from all of the romances that you're reading, or if you don't like romance, hopefully these sound interesting to you and I've added to your TBR. Let me know if you guys have any recommendations for this as well. If you have any fantasy that you have read that has no romance in it whatsoever that you still found absolutely amazing and charming, I would love to hear about those recommendations in the comments down below. If you're not feeling chatty but you still want to let me know that you're here, leave me a little spider emoji because there's a little spider web down here on the Dollmakers, so I know that you guys are with me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!